Long ago, the people of ancient Egypt looked at the world and saw a struggle. They saw the green grass near the Nile and the red sand of the desert. They saw the sun rise and violent storms roll in from the heat. To them, these were not just parts of nature, they were signs of the gods. While many people today think of gods as either good or evil, the ancient Egyptians saw things differently. They believed the world needed balance. To have order, you had to have a little chaos. Today, we are talking about the God who carried that chaos on his back. He was the God of storms, the Lord of the Red Desert, and the brother who committed a crime that changed the world forever. His name was Set. For thousands of years, his name made people tremble, but it also made soldiers feel brave. He was a villain to some and a hero to others. In this first episode of Mythic Origins, we are going deep into the sand to find out where Set came from, why he killed his own brother, and why the Egyptian army once carried his image into battle. This is the true story of the Red God. To an ancient Egyptian, the world was a thin strip of life. On the banks of the Nile, the soil was dark, rich, and full of crops. This was Kemet, the Black Land, but only a few miles away, the ground turned red, hot, and deadly. This was Deshret, the Red Land. That divide shaped how they saw the universe. The Black Land belonged to Osiris, the king of life. The Red Land belonged to Set, lord of everything wild, violent, and untamable. To understand Set, we have to go back to the beginning of the Egyptian world. The Egyptians believed the universe began with a family of gods called the Ennead. The earth was a god named Geb, and the sky was a goddess named Nut. Together, they had 4 children who would shape Egypt forever. Osiris was born to be a wise king. Isis became a master of magic. Nephthys became a protector of the dead. And then there was Set. Even from birth, Set was different. The stories say he did not enter the world like a normal child. Instead, he forced his way out of his mother's side. He came into the world with a temper, a hunger for power, and no patience for waiting his turn. Set was given the desert to rule, a place where little grew and survival was hard. His brother Osiris was given the rich land near the Nile, where the food grew and the people thrived. Set looked at the green kingdom of his brother and felt jealousy burn inside him. He believed that a warrior like him deserved more than empty sand. He wanted all of Egypt. One detail many people do not know is that Set was also connected to foreign lands and metals. The Egyptians called iron the bones of Set. Because iron was hard and sometimes came from the sky as meteorites, they believed it carried the strength of the storm god. While other gods were linked to gold, silver, or fertile fields, Set was linked to the hardest metal they knew. He became the god of what stood outside the Nile Valley. As time passed, Osiris became a great king. He taught people how to farm, how to live together, and how to honor the gods. But in the shadows, Set watched. He did not see a kind ruler. He saw a brother blocking his path. His jealousy grew until he decided to take the throne for himself. He wanted Osiris gone forever. Set was violent but clever. He built a beautiful wooden chest from expensive cedar and gold. He decorated it with colors, jewels, and fine details. Then he held a great feast and invited the gods, including Osiris. During the party, Set announced a game. Whoever could fit perfectly inside the chest could keep it as a gift. One by one, the guests tried it, but each one was too short or too tall. Finally, Osiris climbed inside. The chest fit him perfectly because Set had measured it for him. The moment Osiris lay down, Set slammed the lid shut. His followers rushed forward and nailed it closed. They sealed the edges with hot lead so it could never be opened. Then they threw the chest into the Nile. Set watched it drift away and believed he had finally become king. Isis, the wife of Osiris, was heartbroken. She used her magic and travelled across many lands searching for the chest. At last, she found it and brought Osiris back to Egypt, hoping to restore him. But Set discovered what she had done. Furious that his plan had failed, he stole the body of Osiris. To keep Isis from bringing him back, Set tore the body into 14 pieces. He carried them across Egypt and hid them in swamps, mountains, riverbanks, and deep stretches of sand. This act made Set the ultimate villain to many Egyptians. He had broken the sacred rules of family, kingship, and burial. But Set did not care. He took the throne and ruled through fear. He brought heat, storms, and violence to the land. To him, fear looked like respect, but Isis refused to surrender. With Nephthys beside her, she searched the land for the pieces of Osiris. They found almost all of them and placed him back together with bandages, creating the first mummy. Through magic, love, and grief, Isis restored enough of Osiris for him to become Lord of the Dead. One strange detail says Set missed one piece. That final part of Osiris was eaten by an Oxyrhynchus fish in the Nile. Because of this, the fish became taboo in some parts of Egypt, and people were forbidden to eat it. Set's violence did not just change the gods, it changed customs, animals, food, and the way people understood the sacred world around them. After Osiris passed into the underworld, his son Horus rose to challenge Set. The fight between them was not quick. It lasted 80 years and became known as the contendings of Horus and Set. This was not only a war of weapons, it was a long struggle of trials, tricks, transformations, and legal battles before the gods. Set used strength and intimidation. He tried to prove that power alone made him worthy to rule. He challenged Horus to contests where they transformed into hippos and stayed underwater for days. He fought dirty and tried to bend the gods in his favor. In one famous moment, Set tore out Horus's left eye. That eye became the Eye of Horus, one of the most powerful symbols of healing, protection, and restoration in Egyptian belief. But Horus was not helpless. He fought back, endured the tests, and proved that Set was too wild to rule a civilized nation. The gods saw that Set had strength, but he lacked Ma'at, the balance and order needed for kingship. In the end, Horus claimed the throne of Egypt, and Set was pushed back toward the desert, the storm, and the margins of the world. Yet Set could not simply be destroyed. He had a job no other god could handle. Every night, the sun god Ra traveled through the underworld in his solar boat. Waiting in the darkness was Apep, the giant serpent of chaos. If Apep swallowed the sun, creation would end. Many gods feared the serpent, but Set did not. He stood at the front of Ra's boat with a spear in his hand and drove the monster back. On Earth, Set could be the villain. In the cosmos, he was the warrior who kept the sun alive. Without the god of chaos, the sun might never rise. What makes Set interesting is how Egypt's view of him changed. In the earliest periods, Set was not simply hated, he was honored as a powerful protector. Pharaohs such as Seti I and Setnakte carried his name. They wanted to claim the strength of the god who defended Ra and crushed enemies. As Egypt expanded into foreign lands, Set became linked with soldiers, borderlands, and victory. To many, he was the god of the fierce warrior. Later, when Egypt was invaded by people from the north and east, that meaning changed. Set was already connected to foreign lands, so people began to see him as the god of invaders. His name was scratched from monuments, his statues were broken, his image became darker. Over time, the protector of the sun was remembered mostly as the murderer of Osiris. His appearance adds to the mystery. Set is shown with the head of an animal no one can clearly identify. It has square ears, a long curved snout, and a forked tail. Some have suggested a jackal, aardvark, giraffe, or okapi, but none fit perfectly. Many believe the Set animal was imaginary, created to show that Set did not belong to the normal world. He was other. He was the unknown force outside the fence. To the ancient mind, Set was not a demon, he was a necessity. If everything stayed peaceful forever, nothing would be tested, changed, or strengthened. Storms could destroy crops, but they also showed the power of the sky. The desert was deadly, but it protected Egypt from invasion. The villain tested the hero. Chaos pushed against order, forcing it to prove itself. That is why Set and Horus were sometimes shown together, even as a single combined figure. They represented the two lords. Horus gave Egypt law, kingship, and order. Set gave it force, courage, and the violence needed to defend that order. One was the head, the other was the muscle. Together they showed the balance that Egypt tried to protect for thousands of years. Set reminds us that myth is rarely simple. He was a murderer, a betrayer, and a usurper. But he was also a protector, a warrior, and the only god fierce enough to face the serpent that threatened the sun. He was the storm that ruined the fields, but he was also the strength that guarded creation. The ancient Egyptians understood that light needed shadow, order needed chaos, peace needed something wild standing at the border. As long as storms gather in the sky and heat rises from the desert, the spirit of Set remains. He is the Lord of red sand, the voice in the thunder, and the power people fear because they cannot control it. He represents the parts of life that resist being tamed. He is the outsider, the rival, the destroyer, and the defender. The story of Set is not just the story of an ancient god. It is a story about how people understand danger. Do we only honor the black land of comfort and growth, or can we look at the red land of chaos and see the strength hidden inside it? Set has been called the betrayer, the usurper, the protector, and the friend of Ra. But above all, he is the necessary storm. Even when his statues were broken, Set never truly disappeared. His name remained in the heat, the iron, the lightning, and the edge of the desert. Every night he stood on the boat of Ra, spear ready, watching for the serpent in the dark. And every morning the sun rose again. To understand Set is to understand a piece of the ancient Egyptian soul. Life was a battle between order and chaos, but both forces had a place. Set was the god of the Red Land, the master of storms, and the immortal shadow that gave the light its meaning. From his violent birth to his eternal watch on the solar bark, Set remains one of mythology's most misunderstood figures. He is the chaos that makes order possible. He is the red god,